Hey, 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 gorgeous people. This is Cheryl Pullins, the icon maker, and I am thrilled and delighted to welcome you to this week's live stream. This series we're doing, this is part two, and it's all about monetizing your brand, specifically your personal brand, monetizing your personal brand. And this is part two. And part two is going to be about creating what I call rich content. All right. So while we're getting ourselves situated here, because I was so busy bopping to the music that I totally forgot that I should be over here sharing my link sharing my link to on social media because I go live in three places. And you might want to make note of this. I go live on my Facebook business page. I go live on LinkedIn, and I go live on YouTube all at the same time. So you have your pick of where you want to watch. However, what I do is I do share and I want to thank Dr. Frantonia for sharing this with me. Um, I do share my business page. I share it to my personal page. That way I capture more views that way as well. So I'm going to share it right now. And it's crazy. My all of a sudden, every now and then, I get trouble with my Wi-Fi, but I think I'm okay. And let me know if for some reason I drop out and you can't see me, can't hear me, or something like that. So, okay, I've done that. I gotta remember to like do that while I'm sitting here bopping to the music. All right, all right, all right. So this week I say we're talking about rich content, but before we get into the content, I have some things I want to share. I have some things I want to talk about. And one of the things is, I think I've settled on an actual name for the live stream. I had one name, I just wasn't feeling it, so I just let it ride. And now I settled on a name. I was able to brainstorm with one of my brand cheering, and I settled in on a name. So we'll be revealing that soon. And also we're gonna do a kind of like a format. So it's gonna have this show is gonna have different components to it. It's not just gonna be me talking. It's gonna be me talking. It's gonna be me sharing some things. It's gonna be me talking to people. It's gonna be a few things. So we want to make this a bit more exciting, engaging, and all that amazing stuff. And with that being said, this week we're going to open up with, how Wendy Williams, bless her heart, how Wendy Williams opened up with hot topics, right? So we're going to open this show up each week with something I call, and I've been doing it on the end, but I'm bringing it to the front. And I love using words with the same letter. Anybody like doing that? Let me know in the comments if you like doing that. I like using words with the same what am I looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? With the same letter, that start with the same letter. So this opening segment, just think of it like Wendy Williams Hot Topics, but it's going to be breaking news, branding breakdowns, and bombshells. Okay? All right. And listen, I got a twofer for you today. I usually do the branding breakdown, but I got a two for you today. And the twofer is breaking news and bombshells. So here we go. I'm not sure if you know this, and I don't see a lot of conversation around it. The fact that the US House, this morning passed or voted to to potentially disband or not disband, to potentially ban US citizens from accessing TikTok if TikTok And the company that owns them is called ByteDance out of China, I believe, doesn't agree to sell, to divest TikTok and sell to the US. That's a bombshell, and that's also breaking news. So it's been brewing for about 4 years, if you didn't know. It's been brewing for about 4 years. It was, I think, introduced, if I'm not mistaken, it was introduced during the last administration. So you might want to, if you are a TikTok user in particular, and you have grown a significant TikTok following, you might want to follow this story. So the breaking news, the bombshell for today is that the US House has voted, they have voted to potentially ban US citizens from accessing TikTok if ByteDance doesn't divest TikTok to the US, meaning sell it to the US. You might want to follow that story. I'll be keeping my eye on that story. I'll take the responsibility to update you, because why, Cheryl? What does this have to do with branding? Because people use these social media platforms to build their brands, to generate revenue, to create community and connection. And I am telling you, you are going to have to find alternative methods. You're going to have to find alternative methods. You don't own any of these platforms. Building community offline might be something that you might look into doing. But of course you would still have your social media, but you're still at the whim, at the the whatever of how these platforms function. And now you have a Congress, a United States Congress that's stepping in. Look at the writing on the wall, people. Pay attention to what's going on. A lot of times we're talking about things on social media, we're distracted by all these other things, when right under your nose, decisions are happening, votes are being made, things are being done, and you are going to be left without being able to reach out and touch your people if you don't do something about it. You have to you have to look at alternative ways to grow your business, to make money, and to connect with your community. You have to. Now, I'm not saying that online is like going away today, tomorrow, next week, or nothing. I'm just saying you have to have more than one way. So you want to have your email list. You want to start to host maybe some in-person things that you could touch on people and gather people. People are wanting that anyway, right? Host some events. One of the quickest ways to build your business is to speak. And you don't have to wait to be invited to other people's platforms. Create your own. You don't have to have all the bells and whistles and be fancy with all. You don't have to do that. You could go somewhere. You could get a room at a restaurant. You could get a room at a hotel. You can get a place in a community center. Whatever fits your brand, whatever aligns with your brand experience. Start somewhere. I don't care if it's a room with 12 women in it. Okay, so you're gonna have to pay attention, because if you missed it, I'm going to say it and then we're going to move on. US Congress voted this morning to ban US citizens from accessing TikTok if the TikTok parent company, which is called ByteDance, if they don't divest TikTok and sell it to the US. So if you're over there dancing, sharing content, growing your TikTok community, you want to be aware of what's happening behind the scene. Well, it's not even behind the scene, that's happening right out front in the open. All right, so there we have it on that. So let's talk about money. Let's talk about monetizing your brand. And, and honestly, the fact that bombshell and breaking news was about a content platform. This is a great place for us to talk about what I call rich content. So before we do that, if you could just share out this live stream, please share it out, share it with people, let them know that I'm talking about creating content that attracts their ideal client. Also, let them know I shared about a bombshell and a breaking news about the TikTok platform as well. All right, so let's get into this content, this rich content. All right, let me know in the comments where you're coming from, where you're watching from. Let me know that you're here. Say hello. You know, I love engaging and interacting, and I'm here for that. And we're working on some things and getting some things right. I have a couple things that I'm releasing that are digital, and I'm excited. So we're looking forward to all of it. So let's talk about this rich content framework to attract your ideal client. Yes, it's time to take notes. It's note taking time. It is note taking time. All right, so content. I know for some of us on social media, it is like, ugh, content, you know? It's like, what do I say? How do I create content? Like, what is that? And I'm going to give you this four-part framework, content framework, that it doesn't get into the nuts and bolts of it because we're going to be doing that in our 3-day challenge. Have you signed up for the 3-day challenge? I know you haven't signed up for the 3-day challenge. It is happening next week, and the link to register, I'll drop in the comments. The link to register in the comments. Sign up, show up. Okay. No, it's not free. It's not free because I want you to invest in yourself. It's a nominal investment for you to show up to get what you need in order to build a bankable a personal brand that can take you all the way to the bank. And actually, so while I'm talking and I'm about to share um this four-part framework with you, I am going to just pop in and get the link so that you can sign up for the 3-day bankable brand challenge. It's called Ignite because we want to ignite your personal brand. We want to ignite your finances, your money. We want to ignite your bank account. We want to ignite you so that you can do what you've been called to do in the world and make gorgeous, beautiful money while doing it. And that's hold on a minute. It's being funky with me right now. Of course, because I tried to do something. Okay, so we're not going to deal with that right now. All right. But I'll drop it in there. So, the rich content framework, and it's R.I.C.H. It's note taking time. All right, so let's get to it. Let's go through it. When it comes to creating rich content, the first thing you want to know about your content is that it's relevant. Your content should be relevant. Relevant to who, Cheryl? Relevant to the people you serve. Now, let me say this. A lot of times, the people I serve who are women coaches, consultants, change makers, a lot of times you skip over um a very vital thing, and that vital thing is knowing your ideal client, like knowing who they are. I don't mean knowing how old they are and how much they make and where they live. I'm not talking about Totally. I'm not talking about just demographics and geographic location. I'm not talking about just that. I'm talking about widening your knowledge about who your ideal client is. I'm talking about, yes, knowing the demographic, knowing their geographic location, if that is important for whatever reason. But I'm talking about psychographics, what we call psychographics, their behaviors, their buying patterns, their dreams, their desires, their aspirations, their goals. Like, do you know the goals of your ideal client? Do you know what they want? Do you know what they need? It's not just about a problem. Yes, you want to know what the problem is because you want to know how what you offer fits into either their problem or their pleasure. You want to know how what you offer fits into their problem or their pleasure. What do you mean by that, Cheryl? Most times people are coming with the problem. What's, you got to know what their problem is. Well, for some brands, it's not a problem. For some brands, it's a pleasure. It's an aspiration. I just want to be a part of a particular, circle of people. Here, people that drive Rolls Royces, they don't buy a Rolls Royce because they got a problem. So I want you to start looking at, is what I offer addressing their problem or is it addressing their pleasure? That way, now you know how to speak to them and you can use your content to do it. Okay. So you got to know what your audience needs are. You got to know your ideal client. I, I mean, I believe that you have to have unparalleled knowledge about your ideal client so you can zone in, you can hone in and speak directly to them in a way that resonates with them. It can't be the way somebody else would say it either. It has to be the way you would say it. It has to be the way you would say it. You talk the way you talk. So when people read what you're putting out or they engage with your content, they're having a true, authentic experience with you. Because look at content as an extension of having an experience with you and your brand. That's a shift. That's a shift in your thinking about your content. Stop looking at your content as this drudgery. This, oh, I got to create content. I got to know. Look at your content. Listen, y'all, I'm not just talking to you, I'm talking to myself too. One finger at you, three coming back at me. Look at your content as another way for your audience, for your ideal clients to engage with you. Think of it as if they were sitting in a room with you. What would you be saying? What would you be doing? What kind of things would you be talking about? How would you add value? Doesn't that shift things for you? Let me know. Let me know in the comments if that shifts things for you. Just that one tweak of how you perceive content, and you go from looking at as, oh my God, I got to create this content, to no, I'm just creating another experience, another way for people to engage with me and my personal brand. How doesn't that feel better? I think it feels better. I think it feels better. Also, when you get to, remember, we're still talking about your content being relevant as part of the rich content framework or the rich content system. Also, you want to, because you know your ideal clients, you know your audience, you can tailor your content to them. Something that directly addresses their needs, right? So you can provide insight, you can provide inspiration, you can provide a solution that's going to help them. You could provide a solution that provides what I call a quick win. What's a quick win? So for example, if I wanted to provide a quick win, I could say, we're going to talk about your, let's say your Instagram, we'll say Instagram or Facebook, your profile, you know, how do you optimize it? How do you get people to lean in when they see your profile information? So that could be an example of a quick win. Another quick win could be an example of showing people, how to create a quick digital project that they could create and launch and make money from in 3 days, in a weekend. That's a quick win. Okay. So everything doesn't have to be, about being long and drawn out, and like I can be very strategic. So for me, things are very methodical, very, sometimes it's a quick win. How can I get my audience a quick win? Okay. And you can tailor the content to offer that quick win if you know your audience and what their needs are, what their desires are, what their aspirations are. Okay. All right. So I mean, I could go on and on with that, but the point is that you want to have relevant content that's relevant to your audience, to your ideal client, and that's going to take them down the path that you want to lead them. And that's where you're going to be intentional about that. All right. So the I, the I in the um, rich content formula is, I keep, what is, not formula, it's framework, but I call it system. All the words kind of mean the same. But the rich content system is, the second is impact. Impact. Okay. How are you going to create an impact with your content? Okay. You can do it by demonstrating your expertise. You can do it by, again, offering insight, practical takeaways, right? Content that people can use to implement. They can use to implement. Okay. I am not a fan of information. I'm an advocate for implementation, because implementation is what creates transformation. So if you're just getting information and doing nothing with it, you're not going to get results. Your people aren't going to get results. So you want to give them more than information. You want to give them something that they can implement. Remember, I talked about that quick win. And that's how you're going to have an impact, right? Because you can provide valuable, actionable insight, right? That can help them create a win. And having this impact, you build trust by showcasing your expertise. You can share stories. You could do case studies. You can share personal experiences. I share a lot of personal experiences, because the road that I've traveled is the very thing that I teach. Okay. So, for example, I'll give you an example. So, if you're a life coach, you can provide some content around 5 actionable things that a person can do to make their day better, to start their day better. That's simple, easy, actionable. 5 things you could do to start your day better. You can give them those 5 things. You could put it in the form of a reel. You could put it in the form of a blog post. You can put it in the form of an audio for a podcast. There are multiple ways you can deliver the impact by delivering relevant content. But here's the key, and we are now at the C. You want to be consistent. You want to be consistent. Now, I know, you don't have to tell me. I already know. Be like, oh, but I don't have time. I don't have, ah, mm, zip it. First of all, you want to be very cognizant of what comes out of your mouth. Okay. All of these strategies have an underbelly, an underpinning of what you think, what you say, and what you believe. So if you're just going through the motions, your results are going to be through the motions mediocre. If you're just going through the motions, your results are going to be going through the motions mediocre. But if you are fully aligned, if you are aligning your thoughts, your words, your actions, your belief, if you are really in full alignment with that, your results will take off. So while creating this rich content is wonderful, while creating this content that is relevant, this content that has impact, even you're being consistent, but you're saying things out of your mouth that are out of alignment with all of this, your results are going to be mediocre. So I want you to think about things that you're saying when you hear certain concepts, when you hear about being consistent. Instead of shifting over into this negative space, how about lean in and go, what do I have? Ask yourself questions. What do I need to do in order to be consistent? And here's the thing. Consistency is not about frequency. It's not about it's not about, oh, I got to do it 6 times in 5 days. That's not it. If consistency for you means, consistency for me means going live on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. ish. That's what consistency, 11 a.m. If anything changes, I try to communicate that and let people know. That's consistent for me. Being consistent with email, haven't nailed that yet. Working on it, right? But I've had to do some shifting in my own mindset and my thinking around the idea of creating content, around the idea of being consistent, around the idea of how I'm going to show up in a way that people could go, yeah, if you want to catch Cheryl, you can catch her on Wednesdays at 11 o'clock on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube. Consistency is important, but not just in terms of um, when you're showing up or when the content is showing up, but also in your brand style, in your voice, and what you're saying and how you're saying it. Doing it over and over and over, it creates this familiarity so your audience can recognize that it's like, that's hers. That's hers. I get that a lot from people, and they're like, oh yeah, I know your stuff. I don't even have to realize it's you. Or some people will see things and they'll automatically think of me and they'll be like, oh, I need to send this. And they're like, oh, I looked and realized, oh, that is hers, right? So you want to create a visual experience that's consistent. You want to create a verbal experience that's consistent. You want to create this consistency around what it is that you're sharing as it relates to your content. So, if it's better for you to be like, you know what, on Mondays, I'm going to do Monday inspiration or Monday mindset or Monday, whatever you want to call it, magnificent Monday, money Monday, whatever it is, every Monday, show up with it because eventually people come to expect it because they start to look for it. Now you have people that are coming back time after time after time. And that is part of how you grow your following. All right. So, what have we talked about so far? We've talked about relevance, we've talked about impact, and we've talked about consistency. And the last thing we're going to talk about with the rich content system is human connection. Human connection. We get so spun up about making money, creating content, getting on social media, doing all the things. We get so spun up that sometimes we forget about the human connection, or we make it a lesser priority. Human connection has to be at the forefront. You have to make relevant content that has an impact in a consistent way that creates human connection. What is human connection, Cheryl? It's about engaging with the audience, it's building community, um, commenting, sending messages, social media, email, responding, acknowledging, allowing your audience to be heard. That's part of human connection. The other part is sharing your stories, learning how to be vulnerable, learning how to be transparent, sharing those personal stories and experiences. Those things create the connection and bond between you and your audience that makes that relevant content that has an impact that you're sharing consistently become more memorable. Become more memorable. Like Cheryl, from a social media standpoint, how do I do that? You can use reels for that. You can use stories for that. You can bring people in closer. You can definitely use your email list for that. Now, my perspective on this is I believe everything should filter through your email. That's what I believe. I don't really like sending people directly to social media like a lot of people do because they want to grow their social media following. I personally like sending people to my real estate, and then from there I tell them where they can come and hang out with me. I love that approach because I've invited you to my house first. We've sat down and spent a little time together. Now I'm going to invite you to come hang out with me somewhere else. See, it's all about how you shift and see what it is that you're doing in a way that allows you to serve at a higher level. So while we're talking about content, what we're really talking about is creating a connection, creating a bond, creating an experience. That's what we're really talking about. And we're using these different methods in order to make it happen. We're using the use of content. In this case, we're using the use of content to make it happen. So your content is going to be what? Relevant to the audience, relevant to your audience, to your ideal client. So that means what? You need to know about them. The content needs to what? Have an impact. It needs to impact the lives of the people that you're serving. And you can do that by offering what? Quick wins through your content. Then you want to be consistent. Create a consistency for yourself. Establish it. Like I said, if it's once a week, let it be once a week. Don't overwhelm yourself, and then you wind up overwhelming yourself into inaction where you're not doing anything because you're so overwhelmed by what you said you were going to do because it sounded good, or because somebody told you you need to be posting 5 times a day, you need to be emailing 5 times a week, you need to be doing this and that and blah. You need no, 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 no. Find what works for you from an authentic place and start there. Start there. Then allow yourself to grow, expand, enlarge, add more when you see things happening. So what's the rich content system? What's the rich content system? Is anybody sharing in the comments what the rich content? Oh, let's see. Oh, we got comments going on in here. Oh, Coach. Oh, thank you, Rashonda. Great convo. Pain versus pleasure. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Rashonda. I appreciate you. You're amazing. Good morning, beautiful, gorgeous Angie Harrison. Good morning. Let's see. I'm gonna pop these pop these up on the screen like I like to do. You're awesome. Great convo. Pain versus pleasure. Yes, absolutely. I got an amen from Miss Rashonda Pratt. Um, Rashonda, I'm gonna reach out to you soon. Anyway, um, good morning, gorgeous. Good morning, Andrea Harrison. Good morning. Hello, Carmen Calhoun. You are the best. Let's see. Let's talk destiny with Jamie Green. She said she enjoyed this today. Thank you so much. Awesome. You guys are amazing. I appreciate you being here. And what did we talk about today? We talked about the rich content system. We talked about creating content that is relevant, that has an impact, that's consistent, and creates human connection. All right. So, and also don't forget, follow this story on the TikTok being banned by US citizens. The House has voted for that. It's now going to the Senate. And our current president has said if it hits his desk, he will sign it. So pay attention. I'll be paying attention for you, and I'll be sharing that out as well. What is my call to action for you today? My call to action for you today is to please share this video out. Share it from your social media. Share it from wherever you're watching it. Just share it out on LinkedIn if you're on LinkedIn. If you're on Facebook, please share it out. I am looking to grow my YouTube channel, but that's a whole another thing. I just want to get the word out. I want to share because I'm ready. I'm coming for y'all. I'm coming because I'm ready. I'm ready to help you create this rich content. I am ready to help you monetize your personal brand. I am ready to help you step into your iconic riches and your rich icon era. And with that, I'll see you next time.